Okay? Yes? Good girl. One of the most common questions that I get asked regarding the chickens are how hard are they to look after? And they're really easy, to be honest with you. They're definitely a lot easier than keeping bees, that's for sure. We spend roughly 15 to 20 minutes each and every day coming out to ensure that they're mucked out, their eggs are collected, they have water, they have food, their dust bath is looking good, and that's primarily it. And so 20 minutes out of your day, each and every day, that's all it takes. Now, of course, if you're traveling and you're away, you need to make sure that you have somebody that's able to do that for you. Fortunately, Lids and I have always got somebody covering for us. So whilst we're away, the chickens are always being looked after by somebody. Now, every other week, we do what we call a big clean out. So we actually remove all of the straw hay from the actual coop itself, and we completely disinfect the area, and then we put the new hay in with some mite powder, which is to help reduce red mite, and then they're all set ready for another fortnight. And so that's the sort of system that we have in place. Obviously, feed and water is self-explanatory. You fill it up when it needs it, and it's as simple as that. So there isn't too much you need to worry about. Now, of course, if there are any health conditions of your chickens, then you'll need to go and investigate, take advice, and act upon those. So far, touch wood, we've been very lucky with our girls, and we've not had any problems, but of course they do exist. So I'm going to let the chickens out, which we do every single day, and as you can see, they're eager to get out. I haven't let them out this morning because we had a little foxy running around, and so it's something that Lydia and I are very conscious of. We're trying to balance. We can't be out here with the chickens all of the time. However, their quality of life is really important to us, and so we want to make sure that they have scope of being able to explore and come out, but at the same time keeping them as safe as possible, because we are rural and we do have a lot of foxes around here. And I'd say over the last week we've had a fox arrive every single day. Mostly around about 10 PM I've been seeing him, but this morning it was about 8 AM and I was going to come out and do the chickens, and he was running along our patio. So I thought better of it, and they've been in so far all morning, and so I'm going to let them out now whilst I'm out cleaning the coop. I thought I'll give them a run around for a few hours, keep an eye on them, and then put them in this evening. In general, we use the corn to get the chickens back in the coop as the night draws in, because commonly that's when you'll find that most animals come out to play. If we are unable to get out and get them back in, the chickens tend to take themselves back into there anyway, because they always try to get back into their coop before sun sets. Isn't that right, Lumi? Lumi's completely unfazed by the chickens. And so are the dogs now, which is fantastic. The dogs did take a little bit of work at the beginning. We had to slowly introduce them to the chickens, and then we had to do a soft introduction as well. But we're at a point now where the dogs are allowed to be out when the chickens are out, and they don't need to be attended, which is fantastic, because as we come into the summer months, it's going to mean that everybody's life's a lot easier when coming and going from the house, leaving doors open and so on. So let's get busy. You hear that cock? Yeah? Cock-a-doodle-loo. You hear him? Eh? I'm going to give you a very quick rundown on how we work the space. So this bucket that you can see in front of me here, this is used when we do our spot cleans each day, and when this is full, which it is right now, this will be taken to the compost, and we'll be using this with greens and garden waste to compost, which if actually our first load of compost has just gone onto Lydia's vegetable beds, which is fantastic. So we're putting this to good use. Then these stumps of wood that you can see, just give the birds something to stand on. It's also acting as a really great place to put corn on, so it doesn't get lost in the bark on the ground. It means that it's all consumed and none is gone to waste. That dog bowl that you can see is just out because when the water freezes, we come out with hot water and we just pour it over it to make sure that they can get their drink. And then at the back you'll see this is their water feeder, and we just leave that on a bit of wood again just to keep it slightly off the ground so we don't get muck and stuff in it. There is a water supply over here, but that's currently switched off because of the temperatures. and we don't want the pipes to freeze. And then this is the door that the chickens come and go from each day and night, and it is automated, so it opens at a set time, which I change depending on the time of the year, and then it closes automatically at a set time, or you can subscribe and it'll work itself out to when the sun rises and the sun sets. That's the chicken guard that we have installed, and at the bottom we have the chicken feeder with the dust bath, which is basically a mixture of things that I have shown on my channel before, which they like to bath in. They're in there every single day, they absolutely love it. And then this right here was a winter purchase, and this is a pigsty hut, and I did cut this down. This is to give the chickens some shelter during some of the harsher wet days. They do come out when the weather's really bad, they just tend to huddle up underneath the coop, and so I wanted to give them some more space, and that is why this is currently in here. It may stay, it may not. It doesn't offend us too much, to be honest with you. We've got used to it now, but it isn't obviously the most prettiest of things, but it's more important that the chickens had some good shelter from some of the harsher weather. And again, they pretty much are underneath this every single day, and when it's been raining they are always under it, so it's proven to have been a good investment. I think that's pretty much it. Of course, we have the actual coop itself, which we're going to be cleaning out today. We pretty much use this side panel the majority of the time because it gives us the best access, but there is a door on the front, and of course where they lay their eggs in the back. So this right here is what it looks like after one night of the girls being in the coops. As you can see, there's quite a lot of toilets that take place over a one night period, and this is why it's really important to make sure that you're coming out every single day and spot cleaning, because you don't want the gases, I think it is, to build up in the coop, because it can produce a risk to the chickens. So it's really important that we keep this as clean as possible, and that's why we come out every day and clean this. And it doesn't take long, we just spoon up each poo, and it probably, like I said, takes 5 minutes to do so. And as you can see, they're currently laying in the corner. They particularly like this front left bed here, but the last 2 days they've done over there. So all 5 eggs, all 5 chickens have laid today, which they have been doing quite a lot, to be honest with you. Recently we've been getting a steady flow of 5 eggs every single day, which is fantastic. So I'll take those out, and then because we're going to be doing this entire clean out today, I'm going to take the back box off, the side panels off, open up the front door. I'm going to bring a big bucket over, and we're going to get rid of all of this and then disinfect the whole area and give it a good wash down.
Wow, looking good. Chicken poop in the goop.
Oh yeah. So we'll let that settle down. That will all fall a bit, and then I'll be able to get my fork in there, and then I'll just sort of like mix it all in to the greens, and then all of the little bugs will do their dirty work, I guess, won't they? Now a compost.
Oh, wow, Mill & Gordon compost.
Yes, so we're cycling 2 so we can have a nice little flow. So this one's being used while that one's building, and then we'll reverse. So
very cool. 2
of these serving us very well. You would like some assistance?
Yes, please. I need you to just grab a pot for me.
Miss Mill & Gordon's trotting dog poo, helping me out.
Put that on the vlog.
Oh, and your lovely boots. That's why you should wear gardening wellies. Anyway, this is the compost that's gone into the beds, which have been turned over ready for spring. So it's looking a lot tidier in the kitchen garden at the moment. In fact, I find winter tends to look quite tidy anyway. I think it's quite low and clean, which is really nice. So yes, you need to. Have you put any pots in here?
No.
Any pots? Have you put any pots in here? Have you put any bulbs in there?
No, actually, do that.
Hello, Speedy.
There's actually a bulb coming up from last year. But I do have a box of bulbs. Maybe I should just...
Oh, by the way, I contacted James to come and jet wash and clean your greenhouse in and out.
Amazing. That's not because I'm a princess, it's because I'm a gardener who gardens whilst being an arachnophobe.
Are you explaining yourself?
I am, but I feel like there are so many people that would let themselves be held back, but all they need is a husband willing to do it all for them, and a husband's cousin who will come and clean the greenhouse from top to bottom, and that's all you need to be a gardener nowadays if you're a arachnophobe.
That is a joke, by the way.
What?
You do a lot in the garden.
No, of course, but I mean, really, I struggle with things like
Getting
picking up
pots out of
yeah, like
shelves
that's the one
where
thing.
spiders have lived.
So I just want you to get one of those pots out for me because I'm planting my
What pot?
pea shoots. The square ones, the bigger ones, and I need the tray as well, please. No, so those aren't the bigger ones. It'll be one of the flat things underneath. Is the tray gone for that? Oh, is that a smaller one underneath? No spiders.
What do you think, Lummy? It's tidy in here, isn't it? Very tidy. And that is their food, probably topped up for another week or so. Now all of the components have been cleaned out and also disinfected. I'm now going to leave this for probably about an hour to allow it to dry out and air out. We'll put the coop back together again, fill it with the bedding and give them some powder to keep mites away, and we are good until the next time. Okay, so time's passed, everything's now dried up, and so we're going to start putting this back together and then close them up, and they'll be having fresh sheets this evening, which I always think that they'll be over the moon about, but sometimes they don't all lay after having brand new bedding put down the following day. So I think it might interrupt them a little bit. They might like to sort of settle into their home, make it smell the way they do, and perhaps they enjoy a little bit of poop in there as well. So I'm going to get finished with this anyway, and yeah, they'll have some nice fresh bedding for this evening. So that's all ready now for the ladies to come in this evening. Right here, this is where we keep our corn, and the ladies know this sound very, very well. Well, now the chicken coop has had a refresh and everything's been topped up and tidied up, I thought I would give you a quick run through. So I've got the chickens back into the coop, as you can see. Very noisy at the moment. They've just come back in. They're scratching about. I'm going to quickly go over to the vegetable garden and we can talk. Wow, look how many red kites there are around here. There's about 6 or 7. I'm loving it. Okay, so just before we head inside, I wanted to also quickly touch on another positive impact, I guess, that the chickens have had here in the garden. So not only do the chickens provide us with 3 to 5 eggs on a daily basis, which is wonderful, they're relatively low maintenance. We spend 15 minutes in the morning cleaning them out, ensuring that they have their food, their water, and their dust bath is up to a good standard, and of course their grit is present. Relatively easy, and then every couple of weeks they'll have a little bit of a clean out and some new bedding put down, and that's really just a hygiene thing and making sure that in general the health of the chickens are great. So to actually care and look after chickens is relatively easy, and I have to say it's a joy to watch them whilst they're just pottering around the garden. They're quite hilarious at times, to be honest with you. But something that I definitely didn't foresee myself, but one of the things that has come, I guess, as a byproduct of having the chickens is we've started composting. Because we had this excess bedding and chicken poo that we had to get rid of, it made sense to mix that in with the garden waste that we also have to get rid of to make our own compost, which we can then use on the kitchen garden, which helps grow our vegetables. So we've created this really nice cycle using the byproducts of the house around the chickens. So as I mentioned, we're using the ash from the fireplace and the big green egg, which goes into their dust bath, along with some of the herbs that we're growing within the garden. Fantastic. We're then taking the bedding and the chicken poo and we're putting that into the compost. We're using the grass cuttings and also garden cuttings, as well as some of the vegetable leftovers, to go into the compost. That is mixed in with the water that's collected from the greenhouse, because it's really important to make sure that you're keeping your compost wet, particularly in the summer months. And then that, of course, is going back into the kitchen garden beds. So we've created this really nice cycle, and it's quite fulfilling, and it feels really good to be utilising the garden in this way, because something that Lydia and I took an interest to last year or the year before was diverse farming, and it kind of all stemmed from a talk that we had at the Intelligence Summit about our soil and about the importance of having good quality soil. And so we're creating this really nice cycle at the house, and I know that it's different to what I've just mentioned, but as a result of the chickens, it feels like we've created a nice circular system here in the garden, and that's brought me a lot of joy, and I know that Lydia enjoys it as well. So the chickens haven't just introduced eggs and having them as pets at the house, they've also helped us, or at least encouraged us, to use byproducts within the garden and from the house and incorporate them into a system that's kind of self-fulfilling. So the chickens have been great, really enjoyed having them for the last sort of 6 months to a year. I'm not sure how long it's been now, but it just always feels like they've been a part of the house. So that is a little chicken update, or not a little one, quite a big chicken update. And of course we haven't started with the bees yet, but when we do, I'll get onto that and we can start talking about the bee journey.